Hey, this is Marlene Gaybauer and Greg Lambert of the Geek and Review.
And this week we thought we would just have a little chat with each other, catch up on the latest in legal technology, AI, and talk about what could possibly go wrong if an AI tool breaks out of containment and hacks into another company's database. I've never seen that movie.
But first up, let's get a bit of wisdom from our sponsor, Legal Technology Hub.
The Gen AI conversation has been advancing faster than a lot of people can keep up lately, but some new developments have brought older concepts like prompting back into the spotlight thanks to a trending new topic, token cost. Token cost moved into the spotlight recently as tools like Claude gained traction in legal, because most plans come with token limits, as well as the ability to request limit increases, which has resulted in tales of astronomical bills for some users. Recently, Legora also announced that it's moving its Agent Pro offering to consumption-based pricing, which means it's billing by what the agent does rather than by a flat seat license. And what agents do is consume tokens. Eventually, other providers are sure to follow suit. What many don't fully understand is just how quickly token usage can add up. A few extra follow-up questions, a document pasted in twice, a chat continuing long after it should have been reset. If that sounds familiar, token consumption compounds faster than you might expect, and you may be looking at a higher token usage than you think. And you might not even realize it until you've hit your usage limit, or worse, seen the bill. This is a blind spot we've been unpacking in one of our latest article series on Legal Tech Hub, how to get more out of tools like Claude without burning time, decreasing accuracy, or racking up unnecessary bills. We cover topics like what tokens actually are and why they function as a hidden meter running behind every chat, when to reset a conversation versus continue in the same chat, and what everyday prompting habits, from repasting whole documents to burying 5 questions in one prompt, might be driving up both cost and inaccuracy without you knowing it. Head over to legaltechnologyhub.com to read the full series and learn more about how to get the most out of your token limits and your usage of tools like Claude.
Welcome to the Geek and Review, the podcast focused on innovative and creative ideas in the legal industry. I'm Marlene Gaybauer.
And I'm Greg Lambert, and we thought this week we would catch up. I'm just getting back from beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, Marlene's favorite town in all of America. And I was there for AALL. Our friend Jenny Foster got the conference kicked off and completed without a hitch. Congratulations. And now that she's rotated off and Jessica Whitehock is president, Jenny is a nobody anymore. So welcome to the club,
true. She's
Jenny.
going to be working behind the scenes. I seem to recall how that goes. So, but yeah, and I was sorry to miss AALL, but I was actually.
You weren't sorry to miss Cleveland.
I wasn't sorry to miss Cleveland, but I was basically doing some great stuff. I went on a trip to some of our beautiful national parks. Went to Zion and went to Bryce Canyon and did quite a bit of hiking for a week. And I went with a very good friend of mine, and it was amazing. It is breathtaking.
Was it breathtaking from the view or from the hikes?
It was from both. No, we were doing about 10 miles a day, and as you can imagine, a lot of it was up. So we saw like hoodoos at Bryce Canyon and saw great vistas at Zion. Walk through there was one hike that's called the Narrows, and it's basically you walk through a river pretty much the whole time in waterproof boots.
So sounds perfectly safe. Glad you made it back, Marlene. So we're filming in the morning, so I've got my cup of coffee. I pulled out my Wolverine. So
he's showing off because I have a Starbucks, and I said, I got to go get a cool mug. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. So
no, don't worry
I have my boring Starbucks cup.
Only one of us can bring a cool coffee cup at a time. Well, let me jump in and talk about what my experience was at AALL. One,
yes, please.
If you've never
besides karaoke,
well, man.
I just posted it on LinkedIn, so I figured it's fair game.
Let me talk about karaoke first. So
get it over with.
We actually had 2 karaokes the same night. They little overlap, but you could go to both. Lexus did one, and Bankruptcy Data, along with our friend Andre Davison from Harris County Law Library here in beautiful Houston, did a great job. I can tell you this: the DJ was not expecting a bunch of librarians on a Monday night to bring it, and the librarians brought it. So
as usual,
I think we saw a range of songs. My favorite was one of the librarians who got up, who was still in his shirt and tie from the day and got up and sang Ice Ice Baby from Vanilla Ice and brought the house down. So good stuff. Thanks to Andre Davison for sponsoring that. And I even sang the Bowling for Soup song, Ohio, a song about Texas, and and posted it on LinkedIn. So
so check that out, folks.
Curious to hear my singing voice. Luckily, the sound isn't very good, so I'll just blame it on that.
That's it.
As far as the conference itself, I think, again, second year in a row, and I'm going to call out the vendors, especially some of the big ones. These librarians are the people who buy your product, who use your product, who have to sell your product inside the law firms, who teach your products to law students, who provide them to the government, and absolutely no announcements out of AALL again this year. Was a bronze sponsor this year, so thank you, Harvey, for doing that, but didn't send anybody. And I'm telling you, they would have been the belle of the ball because everyone wanted to talk Harvey in Lagora while we were there. So, but one of the things that you have to know about the librarians and the library conference is, again, these are not the people that install and support your products on the network. These are the people that use it. So they were telling about what's working, what's not working, what's on the horizon, what students expect, what lawyers expect, what judges expect. I talked with Steve Embry while he was there. And again, Steve and Bob was not there. Probably Bob's got a little Cleveland bias too, maybe. I don't know.
Does he? Do we need to talk?
But yeah, yeah, you two could be good friends.
Oh, boy.
But Steve, again, he and I were talking, and he was like, this is just an amazing conference of people that understand how the technology works, how the products work. So kudos to Jenny for pulling it off. Great. Cleveland, Ohio. Hey, Cleveland rocks.
Cleveland rocks.
I don't care what you say, Marlene.
Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. I told you where to go in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So,
man,
I have many good memories of my time in Cleveland.
And I told you yesterday when we were talking, they had a kind of women in rock in the kind of 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. It was fantastic. It was
that's
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. So,
well,
all right, Marlene, what do you got up next?
Well, I'll quickly share that I also had a karaoke experience while I was away in Utah. It's karaoke in Utah is very different than karaoke every place else.
In Ohio.
Yes. Let's just say, you have to order food, and if you're doing karaoke in Utah. And unfortunately, we got there very late, so we were not able to get a song up. However,
wait. Tell people what very late is in Utah.
Oh, yes. 9:00 is very late. So they were playing Goodnight Sweetheart, and so I jumped up and I finished it to an empty hall. except for the DJ.
Utah's version of closing time.
Yeah, so. Right. So, and there are no posted videos, nor will there be. So sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah.
So what was I going to start with? Noticing, and I've been talking to other people about this too, lots of innovation, like innovation attorney jobs, lots everywhere. It just seems that there are lots of different places.
I'm hiring. Are you hiring?
Yes, we're both hiring, in addition to a bunch of other firms and a bunch of other organizations. So I think it's great. I mean, yes, I think there's going to be a lot of competition to get people, but that's not a bad thing. I am just elated that the industry is, coming to see that, that these jobs are important, that, people who have a deep knowledge of their practice, but also understand technology, understand the workflows, understand how to translate, between highly technical folks as well as the attorneys. This is kind of the glue that makes it happen. And so I think it's great.
Yeah. I know there was a story run a couple of weeks ago in Bloomberg about especially like on the director and up positions, but I think even like entry level, mid level, upper level, this is a brand new set of skills and we're looking for brand new talent. So I know I'm seeing people from outside of legal, proper out of big law that are applying. So it's kind of interesting to see where we're going. And again, we've made fun of law firms and in the legal industry for, well, as long as I've been around,
Long
about
time.
being slow to adopt technology. But I think we're ahead of our peer industries when it comes to looking at a lot of the technology and beefing up internally. Even if you're not spending $500 million on infrastructure to help your firm out, you're still spending a lot of money.
I really
Percentage-wise,
do
I'd say
think
it's really good.
I really do think this is the beginning. You're starting to really see the beginning of kind of a change in staffing and therefore kind of a change in how the workflow operates because of the impact of Gen AI. So I
Yeah.
think you're going to see lots more of these kind of interesting new jobs and look forward to that.
Yeah, I think probably the similar run that we saw in the early 2000s when Arthur Andersen folded and all of their knowledge management people came into the legal industry and kind of revamped how we
Everything.
looked at our data.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in that same kind of period of transition. So
Yeah,
beef up your resumes, everybody.
that's right.
Send
Get
it to
tech
me and Marlene if
skills,
you want.
people skills.
Yeah. All right, I got one more conference that I'm going to that's not ILTA. I'm actually got invited to speak at a conference that I'd never heard of before. Turns out there's only like 11,000 people that go to this conference, and it's called AI4, so AI and the number
Vegas,
4
baby.
conference. It's in Vegas. It's at the Venetian in Vegas, and best time of the year, early August.
Only second to July when you fly in.
So, and again, not a legal conference, but AI focused. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be speaking on the legal track. I've seen a few other law firm folks that are going to be there as well, hoping to learn a lot from outside the industry as well as what's going on with some of our peers in legal.
Yeah, I think our industry conferences are fantastic. I would never suggest anything otherwise. They really are second to none. But I think it's very good to go to conferences periodically that are outside of what you normally do. And I love the fact that they're recognizing that it's like, oh, we should bring in some people to hear from them in terms of what they do, because this is not something that's normal for us. I think oftentimes that is the best way to learn about new things and get new ideas and see it's like what's being applied in other areas and can we apply it in our industry. So one of the things I've been really interested in is personas, and you've probably seen in the news that Alta Claro now has Depth Sim, and that's, if you haven't seen that, that's an amazing tool, and essentially what it is training people
Didn't we interview the people on that?
We have. Adi was on, yes, for sure. And so what this does, in case you missed that one, is that it trains people to, or trains you to take depositions or helps you improve your ability to take depositions. And so there's a number of personas, both for the deposee as well as opposing counsel. There's different fact patterns, and you can kind of go through the exercises, and then you get a grade at the end. And that's, rather simplistic, but you get the idea. But there's a lot of other things that are coming out, I'm noticing. I mean, I attend the Codex calls, the Stanford Codex calls, and now I'm seeing a lot of students who are putting these things together. I am aware of former partners in Big Law that are putting these things together, not just for depositions, but for, hearings. I was on a webinar that Opus 2 sponsored. I was on it a couple days ago, and the Chief Innovation Officer from Voris was on and mentioned, and as part of that webinar, that they have developed personas that they're using to help people train for drafting, which is amazing. I'm a big fan of this. I think this is going to be a big deal in terms of training and getting people to learn. I'm waiting to see where this goes further.
Yeah. For someone that doesn't understand when you say personas, do you have an example of what they should expect with a persona?
Yeah. So a persona is basically a character. I mean, it has different, qualities of a person. So this could be for example, in a deposition situation, it could be someone who's very reticent to speak, or someone who's very, very outspoken, and you would have different types of text with either one of these people. And that's very simplistic. You can get very sophisticated with some of the personas in terms of they are a CEO at a small startup, and these are their interests. They like to go hiking. They like to ride bicycles. Personal time's important to them. They are concerned about protecting their IP. Like, you can basically build these things to model, whatever it is that, you want to test against. Then you would interact with that persona, that model, and they would respond in a way that you would expect, and then you would kind of test yourself accordingly against that. So, if you were drafting, then you would, wait to see what their feedback was. You might ask questions. If you were doing a deposition, obviously you'd be asking questions and of that persona and sort of dealing with
based
that.
on the persona,
Yeah.
that's the difference in the reaction that you're getting is
Yeah. And
an outgoing person may respond differently than an introverted person kind of
Correct.
deal, or a partner may respond different than opposing
Correct.
counsel. So yeah, I can see
And
that.
I should mention, Flatiron also has worked on this with Stanford and Megan Ma in terms of a negotiator simulator. I mean, we had them on very early on for that.
I was going to say, if you want to know what's going to happen in 2 years, talk to Megan Ma now.
Fair.
Well, you pointed one of these to me, but I've been seeing more now. I've been writing a thing called Beyond the Model on our Substack since January. I've been actually writing them since like last year, where I've taken a fictional law firm.
Fame comes slowly sometimes. You just have to be patient.
I'm the Megan Ma of legal fiction writing. How's that?
That's it. Oh no!
But and of course, I always claim that I stole it from Anusha Gillespie after our interview with her. But I noticed like our friend Richard Tromans has the Innovators fictional story that he's doing. Jennifer Leonard has a new book published by PLI that uses fictional characters to explain a story. So just really interesting. I think it's a great way of taking facts or projections of how the technology can work in an actual law firm and apply it in a way that makes sense. The latest story that I've done on our Substack page, I took a non-legal industry survey that was applied to over 5,000 technology workers on how AI is affecting their job and their view of their importance with their job, and applied it to a law firm where we gave our fictional law firm a survey to see how associates, partners, and business professionals would take that survey and react to that survey. Again, fictional, but I feel pretty confident in where we were. The interesting thing that was in that survey was whether or not you would recommend your profession to somebody who's just starting out. And the tech survey, and I think this would apply in legal as well. The further up the chain you were, the more likely you were to suggest that somebody get into the industry to do what you do. So it
makes sense.
And I think, equity partners probably still see a lot of benefits, but I think associates right now, and even those, I didn't talk about law students, but I've talked to a bunch of folks at law schools, and they say the first year, second years, third years are all freaking out, and mostly because of the early job offers that they're getting summer associate gigs before they've even taken their first semester test and got their grades back. And in fact, I'm hearing, I heard at AALL that at one of the schools out on the East Coast, a T14 school, that they saw earlier this year that an incoming 1L had already accepted a job before they'd even gone to their first class. So I see this face, not shocked at all. So it's insane. The recruiters know it's insane. The students know it's insane. But because
we just keep doing it.
Yeah. So I imagine that, if you score a 178 on your LSAT, you'll probably get a job offer before you even apply to school. So that's going to be next.
Amazing. No pressure or anything.
All right, high schoolers, we're coming for you.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's pressure enough. It's like once you're sort of used to sort of law school and how it's done, and then people are just sort of going in and taking jobs like having no idea. So, yeah. And they have to be like that ready that soon without any type of legal prep.
The other thing that I don't think a lot of us are thinking about is that the students that don't get these early offers are feeling like, well, should I even be here? Is there a chance for me to get into a law firm now?
I think sort of the key here is like, you need to kind of have a flexible attitude to this. Like, I'm sure people went in thinking, okay, this is what it was going to be. But literally in like the last couple years, the industry has changed remarkably and will continue to do that. And we were just talking about, look at all these jobs that we're hunting for. So, okay, it may or may not be an associate job at a law firm, but we're hiring other types of roles where you can still use your legal smarts as well as any technical smarts you have. I know that the big Gen AI companies, are hiring people like this to be researchers, to be people that work on workflows. So, I mean, there's opportunity out there. You just kind of have to open your mind a little bit. And really the main thing is like, get in there and get that experience. Now, in terms of your storytelling, I just wanted to add that it totally makes sense because look, there's an entertainment value to fiction that, isn't present in, sort of these guidebooks, which are helpful and good, but people respond to that. Like, I think if you can combine something entertaining with a lesson or with knowledge, I mean, that always goes a long way. And I think about, look, this is writing, but we've had the oral tradition for thousands of years to pass on information, and I don't know about you, but fairy tales and parables and Greek mythology. Like those were things that I read as when I was younger, and I still remember. And I think this is just kind of a continuation of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but I was talking with one of the partners at my firm, and he kind of told me because there's really kind of two ways that I do the story. And one is I'm like teaching a technology, the reason, like it started off with why did the legal research products suddenly get better? And we talked about RAG technology and how the information is indexed and searched and retrieved. And so he found that part very interesting. And then there's a second style of story where I'm like applying kind of theory and business models to a law firm. And he's like, yeah, I don't like that part. So everyone has their own taste. I don't want that. I want to learn something. I already know how I'm running the business. I don't
Sure,
need to know that.
But yeah, I mean, there's going to be other people who that's going to be their learning moment. So that's, you catch everybody. Okay. All right. So this one I just thought was funny. So I thought it was kind of cute. So I just wanted to bring it up that I was reading that Microsoft's corporate external legal affairs group selected Harvey as their tool of choice.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does make sense. It kind of makes sense. And I'm thinking about, like, again, I was reading that there's sort of a deeper relationship now between Harvey and Microsoft. And so it's like, okay, well, that totally makes sense, even though they have Copilot, but why not?
I don't know if I want to say anything. Maybe they used Copilot and found out just how well it works.
Well, I mean, I think if you're using it for legal,
yeah.
but I mean, using it for other stuff is
Copilot's
fine.
great that it connects to the M365 network.
Yeah, it connects to the stuff that you have, and that is helpful. Very helpful.
No, I use it every day, especially when I can't find that stupid email that I did 3 weeks ago. And
how many would you say you use
it.
a day? Like different ones?
Different ones?
And for different things,
Let's
I guess.
see. I definitely use Harvey. Definitely use Claude every day. I would. Okay. Well, let me tell you what I subscribe to. So I've got a $200 subscription to Claude.
Crazy.
And I've got a $20 subscription to Gemini. I've got a $20 subscription to OpenAI's ChatGPT. We have
an LLM
Harvey.
addict.
We have Microsoft 365. So I have Copilot. So I use.
Yeah, like I have OpenAI, I have ChatGPT, I have a $20 one. I have Claude, I have Copilot, I have Blagora, there's something else I have. What do I have? I feel like I'm missing one. I can't remember right now, but not quite as many as you.
Just give your bank statement to Claude and it will tell you how many you have.
I refuse.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had someone say, on a LinkedIn post, and I thought he was joking. He was like, if you give Claude all of your data on your attorneys, their billing, their time entry, their forms and paperwork and emails, that it does great for planning out these 7-figure deals. And I know the person, and I was going to do like a laughing emoji back to them, and then I thought, nope, they're actually being very serious about this. I'm like, if you want to watch my security ops team break into my office and tackle me away from my keyboard, we'll
get the camera set up. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Well, speaking of OpenAI, I don't know if you saw the story since you were traveling, but apparently Hugging Face, the open source platform, found that they had been hacked, and they knew that whatever was hacking them must have been an agentic AI system because of the rapidness of what it was doing. That just a person couldn't be doing this, so it had to be an automated attack. And turned out it was OpenAI doing a test on a benchmarking score that had set up a model, and it was a combination of their new GPT 5.6 Soul and an unreleased model where it was given a test and put in a sandbox, was given limited access, supposedly. And just like a really good college student, it found out rather than doing the work and going and doing the test as assigned, it was actually easier to go and break into the professor's office and steal the key to the test.
Path of least resistance.
And use it that way. So it found a way through a multi-level hack to get internet access, went to Hugging Face, broke into Hugging Face using some stolen passcodes that it found.
Hugging Face had no idea what was going on.
Found the answer key. So, I mean, it was interesting that it broke in and had access to all this, but was still on the mission of finishing the quest. Found the answer key, came back and answered the benchmarking test, and apparently scored very high. Yeah. But I will say that we're joking around on this, but this is I would say this is a turning point in AI right now, because especially the U.S. government is set up today is very hands-off. There's very little regulation. The federal government is actually stepping in and trying to keep states from regulating it. And now we've got this, it's kind of funny, but it's not.
This time
it's also
it's funny.
not funny. It's not funny
And
because, well, and most of the podcast and writings I've seen on this said, if a human did this, this would be a crime. The FBI would be coming in and arresting people. And instead you get Hugging Faces and OpenAI's, leadership laughing it off and acting like this was a great thing that happened. And if you've ever watched The Terminator, this is how it begins, people. This is how it begins.
I know this, it's not human, but when you look at the whole picture, it's a very human experience. This is exactly what someone could do, gray hat or black hat type of actor, where it's like, okay, let's see if I can do this and do it. And what's interesting here is that it basically assembled a bunch of actions that weren't part of that environment and went with it and was very successful. And I know, like, Hugging Face is like, okay, something's happening, but we don't know what model's doing it. And then like the model actually reveals later, it's like, oh, it was me.
What was funnier was they tried to use both OpenAI's AI's foundational models and Claude's foundational models to help fight off the attack. But it wouldn't let them because they had guardrails that wouldn't allow them to use their tool to help, because they could be going the other way. So they had to use the Chinese models. Well, they had to use the Chinese models to fight it.
I read that. So, like, hey, can we borrow your models?
Yeah. Oh, it's a great time to be alive. And just end with that. So
yeah. Yep. I think KM is having a moment again. I'm very happy to see that. And I think you're starting to see, we had looked at, Gen AI in terms of like efficiencies and doing things faster and better. And now I think the industry is turning towards how can we use AI to kind of harness knowledge that we have and surface knowledge that we have and combine knowledge that might be out there. So your traditional KM, document based, it's like, okay, well, we'll have things like that, but, we may also have personas. We may also have financial information. We may also have information from the outside, public information, and being able to synthesize all of this and surface all of it for different types of work. So I know NetDocs is rolling out some new AI-enabled capabilities. I know iManage is, and there may be. I'm wondering if everybody was saving their announcements for ILTA, so we might hear something.
They are.
We might hear something there. We've talked to a number of people that have products like Free People and their product Atlas, and then Atlas AI, who we just recently had on the show. There's a number of these vendors that are kind of looking at how do we do this. I should mention, Microsoft is also doing this as well. And I think
they doing it through Harvey? That's what I want to know.
Well, I should say, like, Harvey also has something too. And so I think the trick is at this point is, going back to what you were saying is security and sort of what we're comfortable letting these tools access, because, we're still in a situation where certain clients are saying, I don't want Gen AI to touch any of my stuff, or I don't want my work to be combined with other work in terms of your work. There's also sort of moving towards a need to know in your DMS. Given all of these factors, how do we make these tools work effectively for people? And it's going to be done, because some of these tools already, they follow the rules that your DMS already has in terms of who can access what. So, I think it's really just a finesse question.
Well, giving the AI rules works every time, right? OpenAI. So
yeah, why did I have this story like right after that one? It's like, never mind.
Yeah. Now, I do want to say, though, that actually the OpenAI test, they actually took the guardrails off, which is why, but they thought because it was in a sandbox environment that would protect it. But
I feel much better now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Of course.
I watched a video last week from Claire Vaux, who does every Monday. She does a video called "How I AI." Great, not legal, but I think very applicable to what we're doing. And so last week, she was showing how she makes AI harnesses. And
Tell us what a harness is.
So a harness is essentially the software that you put on top of the AI to help guide the AI on what you're asking it to do, the rules that you set up, and the output. And one of the things that stood out as she was talking about how she develops the AI harnesses for the task that she does, and mostly it's for evaluating her code that she uses both for her company and her company's website, is that if you need something to be the same every single time, regardless of the AI model that's underneath, then the harness is, how she explained, is how you get there. So you set up the parameters of this is how you handle the information, this is what you do, and then this is the output. And it's every single time, it's the exact same thing. And there's lots and lots and lots of stuff that we do that fall into those parameters, those guidelines of making sure that if we're processing data, that it processes in a certain way and the output is in a certain format. So I'm going to make the projection, how we're talking about AI agents in 2026 and turning the agents loose. And I think for 2027, we're going to be talking about AI harnesses, that we've got the power. Now we need to set the direction of how these very powerful models actually work in a predictable and consistent way. So if you're not looking into harnesses now, I suggest you do that. And coincidentally, there's a 3-part story that I'm writing on Substack this week that talks about AI harnesses. So if you haven't subscribed to the Substack page, do so now.
Are you aware of any of the vendors that are using these?
Well, they all have
promoting
harnesses.
it?
So like when you're using the interface on Harvey, that is a harness. It's just that instead of using the
But this harness,
AI
apparently you get
companies,
the same results every time. So
yeah. You set it up. You tell it what to do. You program it or vibe code it, and this is the interface that you use, or this is the tool that uses the AI and then guides the AI and output. So lots of things to learn. Like I said, 3-part story coming out this week. So
very good.
Stay tuned.
We'll be looking for it. For it. I wanted to put in one thing about for small firms, and I saw something in the news. It's an AI legal receptionist, which it's called LexiDesk. And what I thought was interesting about it is that it captures, quality business during intake. So it's not just sort of strictly reception. It's basically trying to figure out whether this is the correct business for you. What I thought was interesting about it was what counts as quality business, and how do you program that? How do you prompt that, or how do you make sure that that's happening? Can it recognize urgency or vulnerability? Because again, we have certain obligations as attorneys to address things, but so can it figure that out? How's confidentiality handled? I mean, it's one thing to sort of take a call came in and schedule something on your calendar, and it's another thing to really do an assessment of the call and what your next steps are. So I thought it was an interesting one.
Yeah. Speaking of interest, this is either going to be really interesting or not interesting at all. You know how we've been asking folks to tell us about what resources that they're using to read or keep up with the industry. I heard a very interesting question this week from Simon Willison when he was talking with 3 engineers at Anthropic. And one of the questions that he asked was, what is true today that wasn't true a year ago for you? And of course, these were engineers talking about the Claude Code and the harness and everything that they're doing. But we may swap out the question. And so, we ask a crystal ball question about looking into the future. I think this would be a good setup to, take a peek back at the past and look at today and say, what's true today that wasn't true a year ago. And so, Marlene, you get to be my guinea pig on this. What's something that's true today that wasn't true a year ago?
Well, a year ago, I think there was a lot more emphasis on adoption and just using the tools. And I think now there is much more focus on we need to incorporate this into workflows. We need to change the workflows that it's not just making an existing workflow more efficient. It's basically changing the workflow completely. And that includes staffing, that includes pricing. And so the whole ride has been interesting, but it's super interesting now because you're bringing in a lot of different experts. There's a lot of different departments that this touches. You have these groups kind of working together, which I think is absolutely incredible and really, really interesting. Everybody's bringing their expertise to the table to make these changes in a positive way for businesses. The other thing that is quite different, and this is very recent, is now everybody's sort of talking about the cost of generative AI, because I think we kind of got in, and it's like, again, like they get everybody on board, and now all of a sudden the reality hits in terms
I
of,
can't just burn every token that I can get my hands on.
And
Yeah.
it's again, it's intellectually interesting. It's also very stressful. I mean, from a business perspective, in terms of like, what is this going to run, and how is it going to get paid for? And everybody has seen stuff in the news about paying per token, but I don't know that is going to end up being the right model. And I do think vendors are trying to be thoughtful about this. I mean, I've had some discussions with some of them, and they are trying to be very thoughtful about how to do this, because sort of straight up, token costs or use costs. I mean, we've seen that model before. Like you and I have seen that model before, and it's the old Lexis Westlaw model from years and years ago. And
we'll just find a way to track the cost and then pass that on to the client, right?
Right. And that, I mean, look, in the beginning that made very good sense, but in time it became a situation where it's like, look, it's the cost of doing business, and we're not going to pay for that. And so a lot of times that is not paid for. And I think now it's even more imperative to think about it, because everybody has access to these tools now. And so I think there's a fine balance between saying, it's like, okay, we're going to pass on, token costs to people, to you clients, and clients are like, well, we could just do that. Like, we don't need to do it yourself. I think there's a lot more thought that has to go into sort of what you're doing with the AI, and the value that provides to the clients, and whether you're kind of working on these things together, or if it's something that's just more internal that helps you.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of spin this into our crystal ball question when it comes to the tokens, because I think, and I can't remember, I think it's something like Hassam's law, or it's credited to someone, where it's a saying of, I've seen gluts not followed by scarcity, but I've never seen scarcity not followed by a glut. I don't think it's going to be next year, but I think in 2 or 3 years, this whole, looking at the cost of tokens is probably going to be a non-story anymore.
Agreed.
Because efficiencies, we're going to catch up. Hopefully that the latest model doesn't burn fuel like a rocket, that we'll find efficiencies, because we're going to have to. And I think competition. I think we're going to see more competition, not just from the Chinese models. We'll probably see competition from open source from Europe. We'll probably see some regulation come in after 2028, maybe. But in the meantime, this is a wave we're going to have to ride till it breaks, right? So
yeah, I mean, I agree that it's not a long-term issue, but it is it's a significant short-term issue. I mean, in terms of cost. But I agree with you. And I mean, I think kind of competition, this is all going to force people, I think, to become better users. I mean, it's sort of a painful way to do it,
Yeah.
but it will do it. So that is also not a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was great catching up with you this week.
Yeah, you too.
It's always nice to have these and just kind of talk about what's going on in the industry because, man, there's so much going on. So thanks for sitting down in the morning and me pulling out my really cool coffee mug.
You just got to rub it in. You just got to rub it in.
And show everybody your Starbucks cup while I show them my
No.
Wolverine claws.
No, they saw it already. It's okay. I'll bring a good one next time. Thanks to all of you for listening to the Geek in Review. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a colleague. We'd love to hear from you on LinkedIn and Substack.
Yeah,
and
subscribe to that Substack. Listen, watch those stories roll in.
Greg needs likes.
I do.
And as always, the music you hear is from Jerry David DeSica. Thank you, Jerry, and goodbye, everybody.